From the very first seconds of the Season 3 trailer, it becomes painfully obvious that Maxton Hall is done, pretending this is just a love story. The tone is darker, quieter, and way more serious than anything we've seen before. There's no soft build-up, no comforting reassurance that things will be okay. Instead, the trailer throws us straight back into the emotional wreckage left behind by that brutal Season 2 finale. Ruby doesn't look like someone who's just had a bad day. She looks broken, isolated, like the entire world has already judged her, and she's too tired to even defend herself anymore. And that alone should scare you, because Ruby has always been the fighter, the girl who keeps going no matter how unfair things get. Seeing her like this tells us Season 3 isn't about small obstacles. It's about survival. What really hits hard is how distant everything feels. Maxton Hall, which once felt alive with whispers, tension, and drama, now feels hostile. Empty hallways, cold stares, a sense that Ruby no longer belongs there. The trailer strongly suggests that the scandal didn't just ruin her reputation, it completely changed how people see her. Teachers, students, even the system she trusted. Her Oxford dreams, the one thing she held onto through everything, now seem dangerously close to slipping away. And the worst part? She looks like she's starting to believe that maybe she doesn't deserve them anymore. That's the kind of psychological damage this season is teasing, and it's far more painful than any dramatic argument or breakup. And then there's James, or more specifically, the emotional ghost of James we see in this trailer. He's there, but not really there. Gone is the confident, reckless guy who thought he could fight his father and win. This version of James looks crushed under guilt, pressure, and regret. Every shot of him feels heavy, like he's carrying something he doesn't know how to put down. The trailer makes it very clear that whatever happened between him and Ruby didn't end cleanly. There's unresolved pain, unspoken accusations, and a massive wall of silence between them. They don't look like two people who simply broke up. They look like two people who don't even know how to stand in the same room anymore. The most unsettling thing is how Mortimer's presence still looms over everything, even when he's barely shown. You can feel his influence in every cold decision, every closed door, every moment where power is chosen over truth. The trailer subtly reminds us that Mortimer doesn't need to be on screen to be terrifying. His damage is already done. The bakery, the scholarship, the will, the scandal. Season 3 isn't about whether he's evil. We already know that. It's about the aftermath of living under someone like him for too long. And both Ruby and James are clearly paying the price. What fans didn't expect from this first look is how emotionally quiet it is. There's no dramatic shouting, no explosive confrontation teased. Instead, the trailer leans into silence, tension, and restraint. And that's actually far more threatening. Because when a story goes quiet like this, it usually means something huge is being held back. Something painful. Something that will change everything once it finally comes out. Season 3 isn't teasing chaos right away. It's teasing the slow, unbearable pressure before everything finally breaks. And if this is only the first look, then honestly, I'm not sure any of us are ready for what Maxton Hall Season 3 is about to do next. What makes the Season 3 trailer even more unsettling is the way it quietly reframes the entire scandal. This time, it's no longer just about a photo or a misunderstanding. It's about trust and how quickly it can rot when doubt is planted in the right place. The trailer strongly hints that Ruby is no longer fighting the school alone. She's fighting the narrative that's been built around her. Every look she gets feels judgmental. Every silence feels like an accusation. And the most painful part is that no one seems interested in hearing her side anymore. Maxton Hall has already decided who she is, and reversing that kind of damage is almost impossible. You can feel how suffocating that is for someone like Ruby, who built her entire future on discipline, honesty, and doing everything the right way. At the same time, the trailer leans heavily into Ruby's internal collapse. She's not crying dramatically or falling apart in obvious ways. Instead, she looks exhausted, like someone who has cried enough already and doesn't have the energy left to do it again. There's a quiet anger in her now, mixed with disappointment and disbelief. This isn't just about losing a scholarship or being suspended. It's about losing faith in the system she trusted her whole life. The school that promised opportunity. The adults who were supposed to protect students. even the idea that truth always wins in the end. Season 3 seems ready to ask a very uncomfortable question. What happens when doing everything right still isn't enough? James's storyline in this first look feels just as heavy, but in a completely different way. While Ruby is being publicly torn apart, James is being crushed behind closed doors. The trailer suggests that the weight of guilt is eating him alive, whether or not he's truly responsible. His body language alone tells us he's spiraling. He looks isolated, cut off from everyone, including Lydia. And for the first time, it doesn't feel like rebellion or arrogance. It feels like defeat. The kind where you realize you've lost control of your own life, and every move you make somehow makes things worse. There's also a strong sense that James is finally starting to understand the full extent of his father's damage, not just financially or socially, but emotionally. The trailer hints that Mortimer's manipulation goes deeper than anyone realized. It's not just about power anymore, it's about control, about breaking people down until they stop fighting back. And James looks like someone standing at the edge of a massive decision. Stay trapped in the world his father designed, or destroy it completely and walk away with nothing. Either choice costs him everything. What really shocked fans in this first look is how little comfort there is between Ruby and James. Even when they appear close, there's tension instead of warmth, distance instead of connection. It feels intentional, like the show wants us to sit in that discomfort, to feel how fragile their bond has become. Season 3 doesn't seem interested in quick reunions or easy forgiveness. It's building towards something slower, messier, and far more painful. The kind of healing that hurts before it helps, if it helps at all. And that's what makes this trailer so effective. It doesn't promise answers. It promises struggle. It promises consequences. And it makes it very clear that Maxton Hall Season 3 isn't here to make fans feel safe. It's here to test how much these characters can lose before they either break completely or finally fight back. As the trailer continues, something shifts in a way that feels almost dangerous. Beneath all the silence, guilt, and emotional damage, there's a growing sense that Ruby is done being passive. Not healed, not okay, but done letting things happen to her. The first look subtly suggests that Season 3 isn't just about watching Ruby suffer, it's about watching her decide whether she's going to disappear or fight back. And that choice doesn't come with dramatic speeches or big moments. It comes in quiet determination, in the way she stands, in the way she looks forward instead of down. That's the version of Ruby that should worry everyone who underestimated her. What makes this arc so compelling is that Ruby's fight doesn't seem loud or heroic. It looks lonely, institutional, draining. The trailer hints at meetings, decisions, paperwork, and authority figures who hold her future in their hands. This isn't a battle she can win with intelligence alone. She has to challenge a system that already sees her as guilty. And that kind of fight breaks people, especially someone who has always believed that fairness was real. Season 3 seems ready to strip Ruby of her illusions completely and force her to redefine what success, justice, and self-worth actually mean. Meanwhile, the emotional tension surrounding James reaches a boiling point. The trailer strongly implies that he's approaching a breaking moment of his own. The pressure from his family, the fallout from the scandal, and the distance from Ruby are all closing in at once. There's a sense that James is finally realizing how much of his life has been controlled by fear. Fear of his father, fear of failure, fear of losing everything he was born into. And when someone like James reaches that realization, it usually ends in one of two ways. He either submits completely, or he burns the whole thing down. One of the most intriguing parts of the trailer is how it teases the truth without revealing it. There are subtle hints that not everything about the scandal adds up. Small inconsistencies, lingering glances, moments where characters seem to know more than they're saying. The show is clearly setting up a slow reveal rather than a sudden twist. And that makes it even more suspenseful because it forces the audience to sit with the uncertainty, to question motives, to wonder who benefited the most from Ruby's downfall. Season 3 looks like it's turning the mystery itself into a weapon, dragging it out until the emotional damage is already done. The trailer also hints that side characters will no longer stay in the background. Lydia, in particular, feels like a ticking time bomb. She's caught between loyalty, guilt, and the terrifying realization that silence can be just as destructive as betrayal. The first look suggests she knows more than she's admitting, and that knowledge is eating her alive. If she speaks up, everything changes. If she doesn't, she becomes part of the damage. Season 3 seems ready to force her into a choice she's been avoiding for far too long. What fans didn't expect is how morally gray everything feels now. There are no clear heroes, no easy villains beyond Mortimer. Everyone is compromised. Everyone has something to lose. And that's what makes this season feel so intense already. The trailer doesn't invite us to pick sides. It invites us to watch people make impossible choices under unbearable pressure. And judging by this first look, those choices are going to hurt far more than anything we've seen before. By the time the trailer reaches its final moments, one thing becomes painfully clear: Maxton Hall. Season 3 is not building toward comfort, it's building toward consequences. Every storyline teased in this first look feels like it's moving toward a point of no return. Ruby isn't just trying to fix her reputation anymore, she's fighting for her future, her identity, and the version of herself she refuses to let this place destroy. The trailer suggests that whatever choice she makes next will define her for the rest of her life. Stay silent and survive quietly, or speak up and risk losing everything. And knowing Ruby, silence has never been her strength for long. At the same time, James appears to be standing on the edge of a life-altering decision. The first look heavily implies that his relationship with his father is finally reaching its breaking point. There's no more denial, no more pretending things can be managed. Mortimer's control has poisoned every part of James's life, and Season 3 looks ready to explore what happens when his son finally stops asking for approval and starts choosing himself. But that kind of freedom doesn't come without sacrifice. The trailer makes it very clear that if James walks away, he won't just lose money or status. He'll lose protection, power, the safety net he's always fallen back on. What makes this season feel so unpredictable is how separated Ruby and James appear to be. Their love story, once the emotional center of the show, now feels fragile and uncertain. The trailer doesn't promise reconciliation. It doesn't tease romance. Instead, it asks a much harder question. Can two people find their way back to each other after trust has been shattered this deeply? Season 3 seems more interested in individual growth than fairy tale endings. And that alone tells us that the road ahead is going to be painful, slow, and incredibly real. The final impression the trailer leaves is one of tension that hasn't been released yet. Nothing explodes. Nothing resolves. And that's exactly what makes it terrifying. The show is clearly saving its biggest moments for later, forcing viewers to sit with discomfort and unanswered questions. Who really sent the photo? Who has been pulling strings behind the scenes? And how far is Mortimer willing to go when he starts losing control? The answers are coming, but not without a cost. Maxton Hall. Season 3 is shaping up to be the most emotionally brutal chapter of the series so far. Not because of shocking twists alone, but because of the slow, relentless pressure placed on every character. This first look doesn't try to excite us with spectacle. It prepares us for impact. And if the trailer is any indication, fans didn't expect this because deep down, we were hoping for relief. What we're getting instead